Hi everybody and welcome back to my War Games Hobby channel. Today I'm going to show you how to play Pikeman's Lament. This is another in this series by Daniel Mercy. This is also written with Michael Leck in the Lion Rampant or the Rampant series. If you watch any of my videos you'll know that I'm quite keen on Lion Rampant. They give a really good easy game for an evening down the club, and I've been playing them quite a bit recently, and we've got a number of people at the club also playing them. Now if you've played Lion Rampant and you haven't played Pikeman's Lament, you'll soon catch on that they're very, very similar indeed. In fact, I would say 95% of the rules are in fact in both books. Simply the Pikeman's Lament moves on in history to obviously the Pike and Shot period, which includes the English Civil War, and in fact at the back of the book it goes all the way from 30 Years' War 1618 to 48, the English Civil Wars 1642 to 51, the Deluge 1655-60, that's basically Poles against Swedes, the Scanian War, King William's War, and the Great Northern War 1700 to 21. So it's primarily muskets and pikes, different types of cavalry, compared to what's in the Lion Rampant rules. And therefore there's a few changes in the rules to allow for those different troop types. But what I'm going to do is I've only got a small table at home here. I've only got sort of a 4x3. Well, it's more like 4x2.5. So I'm going to have a game on the table, and it's going to be a demonstration of what the different units do. So I've got 18 points aside, and normally the game, most people play the game of 24 points, although because we know the rules quite well, quite often we play 30 or 36 points aside. But today I'm just doing 18 points because that means I can have one of every different type of troop type that they have in the book. I've done a quick reference sheet which you'll see on the screen now, and you can see there are 9 different troop types and they're all represented on the table. So it's a pretty imbalanced game. I just wanted to make sure I used all those troop types to give you an idea of what they do. If you haven't played Lion Rampant before, I will explain the basics anyway, although if you have played, you'll know that. But it's just really a demonstration of the different troop types for that period that fit within what I think are a really good set of rules. So I'll let you have a look at the table first, and then I'll start going through the basics, and then we'll do some movements. I'm not going to record everything I do. I will highlight particular units to cover how they move and what the advantages and disadvantages are of each unit type. And then I will do some rolling for melees just to give you an idea how that works as well. It's not going to be a proper game. I'm just using it as a demonstration of these rules. So here's the table. As you can see, there's not a great deal of room, and I've put some terrain down to give it a bit of an atmosphere and to use a bit of cover for different troop types which are useful. And then it's just a case of getting stuck in. This terrain piece in the middle here, it's not really rough ground. It may be a little bit uneven, so the only thing I'm going to do, a house rule, was the artillery can't go in there. It gets bogged down, but it's not very deep. It doesn't slow anyone else down. The hedges are hedges. Again, another house rule. Normally, when troops move up to an obstacle or hedge, it takes a whole move to go over. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to allow, it's only a small hedge, say half a move for it to go over the hedge. Let's have a look at the troop types we've got. First on the left, this is a royalist force from the English Civil War. Incidentally, this is the first army I ever painted more than 50 years ago, and those people that were wargaming that period probably recognise some of the figures. These are old minifigs, 25mm, and as I say, I've had them a long time. They're multi-base, so they're not individually based. So I'm going to use a method to keep a track of casualties. I'll just use little discs, and most of them are very, very, very old figures that have been. Some of them have been repainted, and they're based on more than one per base. The minimum usually 2, and I've got up to 4 infantry. There we are, 4 pike on that base. So 3 of those bases make up 12 men, and I'll just have to register casualties as I go. So on the left, let's start with the Royalist side. We've got a unit of gallopers, and gallopers basically are cavalier type cavalry. They charge in, they want to charge in. They don't do any shooting from distance. They get stuck in as soon as they can. Next to them, you'll see a unit of pike. That's a unit of 12. Cavalry units are 6, incidentally. I forgot to mention that. The leader is behind the unit. Now, normally in these rules, the leader is a part of the unit, but because I haven't got individual figures for doing the units, I've just put the leader with it. And in fact, although that's got 12 men in and he's at the back there as well, he will be counted as part of the unit. So one of those, maybe we can ignore the flag bearer maybe. Oh, flag's a bit bent there, so just straighten it out a bit. Next to those, we've got a unit called Forlorn Hope. These are a very, very powerful unit in actual fact. They've got very good factors for attack and defence, and they are really the elite infantry of the period. And then on the far side there, you'll see a unit of dragoons, and you'll see the way I've based them for this is for different rules. I've just got a mounted figure with 2 figures on foot, and that represents 6 or 2 bases, which makes 6 dragoons. Now we're going to swap over to the Scots Covenanter army. On the right, first of all, we have a unit of trotters. These are a cavalry that are more likely to want to shoot than charge, although they do have an interesting rule. It's called caracole, so it may shoot first. It does half a move and then it shoots, and then assuming that it does enough damage to the enemy to make them waver, then they can charge in if they wish. They don't have to, but they can charge if they get a good result with their pistols or with their I suppose really they should have longer range firing weapons and pistols, but that's what I've got. I'm using these. These are actually quite recent figures I bought a few years ago. I think they might be Perry's. Not sure, to be honest, can't remember. Anyway, so that's a unit of 6 trotters. Alongside that, we've got an artillery piece, a regimental gun, which is obviously new to Lion Rampant because they don't have artillery normally. It's quite effective, but I'm not sure how effective it's going to be, and it's going to be, you activate it on the 8+, so it's not easy to activate anyway, but it will obviously do damage if it does fire. And next to them, we've got a unit of musketeers, and they are really, in most games you'd have a lot of units of musketeers, and a traditional English army would be for every 1 pike you've got 2 musketeers. Although as the war progressed, I think the Royalists started to run out of muskets, so they started to almost do a 1-to-1. But there'd normally be a lot more musketeers on the battlefield, but I've only just got the 1 unit today. And then just entering the wood over there, we have a unit of clansmen. So these guys really do want to get stuck in. The whole point for them is not to hang about. They have a wild charge, so if they get within a move distance of an enemy, they have to test to see whether they charge in or not. You can't stop them. They've also got the ferocious. They're ferocious, so they use their normal attack and defence in rough terrain, unlike a lot of units that don't like going into rough terrain, but they're very good in rough terrain. And they're also fleet-footed, so being in rough terrain doesn't slow them down. And then finally, over in the corner there, you see some commanded shot, and that's basically a skirmish unit of 6 men, and they don't want to get into combat. They're no good in combat at all, really. They are there to shoot people from a distance, hopefully, and stay in cover, because like the clansmen, the commanded shot are fleet-footed, so that rough ground doesn't slow them down, and they can do what's known as a skirmish move, where they can move and shoot, or shoot and move. They can also do an evade if they want to try and get away from any enemy that are going to charge them. So they're the 9 different units, so 5 on the Scots Covenanter side and 4 on the Royalist side. Okay, now just let me go through the quick reference sheet with you first, and it'll give you an idea what each unit can do. Let me talk about gallopers first. On the left of the sheet there, you can see that the first 3 numbers in the dark area at the top is attack, move and shoot. So if I want to, for example, move that unit of gallopers, I've got to roll 2 dice, and I've got to roll 5+. So if I roll that, there we are, I rolled 9. So that unit can now do a move. If I wanted to attack, it's the same, it's 5+. And then if it did shoot, which it doesn't, if you see the trotters next door to them do shoot, they have to roll 6+ to shoot. So again, they roll a 7, they would be able to shoot. So all along the top there, you can see that to move troops, that's the second column down, it varies. Most of them move on 5+, but the regimental gun and the pike, sorry, the pike do move on 5+ as well. They move on 6+ if they move into close order, but all the others move on 5+. And you'll notice that the dragoons have got a red 7+ next to them. That means that if they do a skirmish move, they have to roll 7+ to do that. And in fact, that's the same for commanded shot as well. So moving down on the left at the gallopers again, the morale is 3+. The lower that figure is, the better. I'll cover morale more later on when it happens in the game. And they've got a stamina. You see it says there 4, 3, 2. The black 3 in the middle is what they normally are. They've got a stamina of 3, so it takes 3 hits to kill a figure. If they are an elite unit, which you pay 2 points to make them elite, they go up to stamina 4. But you can see instead of costing 4 points, just below it costs 6. So it's an expensive upgrade to have, just to give them 1 extra bit of armour or 1 extra stamina. And likewise, if they go down to raw, which only costs 2 points per unit, if you do that, you just minus 1 point. They've only got a stamina of 2. So I'm using most of the units today as standard. They've not got any upgrades at all. Then their attack value. Now again, normally for most units you can see it's 4, 5 or 6. The lower the figure the better, the more chances you are of throwing that with 2 dice. The attack value for that unit is 4+, but if it charges, it actually charges itself, it then throws to hit on 3+. And you roll 12 dice with every unit that has to be activated to attack, and depending on who you're fighting as to how many hits you get. So you can see that having a 3+, you're going to stand more chance of rolling 3s, 4s, 5s and 6s than just 4s, 5s and 6s. You've got a 2/3 chance instead of 50-50 chance. Their defence value doesn't change whatever they're doing. If they don't countercharge, for example, if someone charges them and if they do countercharge, they hit on 3+. If they don't countercharge, if they stand there taking the charge, they'll only hit on 5+. So it's much better for them to countercharge, and they are able to do that. Again, if that unit does get within a charge distance of any enemy, it must try and do a wild charge. and you have to roll, and you have to roll. In this case, they attack on 5+. So if they get 5+, in other words, over 5 or over, they will charge. You can see they've got no shoot or range. The next unit, next to them, the trotters, if they want to shoot, they shoot. If they're standing still, they shoot with 5s and hit on 5s and 6s, 5+, and they've got a 6-inch range. Then looking down, the movement, you see maximum move for gallopers is 10 inches, trotters slightly less, 8 inches. And there we are, the special rules. They can countercharge if they wish. You notice that trotters don't countercharge. They've got they're aggressive, so they have a wild charge. You don't have to have them as aggressive. If you decide not to have them aggressive, their attack value will always be, if you see higher up, instead of being 3+, it'll be 4+. But of course, if they are aggressive, they become wild. They may well do a wild charge as well. And that's a unit of 6. So there we go. So there's that's the gallopers, just to give you an idea of what they do. I've done this quick reference sheet because it saves me looking up in the book all the time, or having separate cards. You just have to take into account that the greens are generally upgrades that are positive, and the reds are normally negative. Although in some cases they're just highlighting a different value. Just look at just one more. Let's look at, say, the dragoons. They attack. They're not quite as keen as attacking as gallopers. Instead of attacking on 5+, then they attack on 7+. They move on 5+ normally, and they shoot at 6+. But if they wish to skirmish, which is a handy thing for them to do, they want to shoot at someone and then move out of their range, or if they want to move up to get within range and shoot, they have to roll a 7+. And if you look further down the table to the shoot value range, they normally shoot at 5+ at a range of 12 inches. But if they do a skirmish move where they're moving as well, they only hit on 6s. So it does affect their firepower, but it is handy having been able to move. Their maximum move is 12 inches, but if they do a skirmish move, it's only 6 inches, of course. If you make them veterans, they don't actually have that penalisation for moving and shooting. They still, if you do upgrade them to veteran, if they do a skirmish move, they still hit on 5+. Again, it's 2 points, so it's quite an expensive upgrade, but it certainly can be very effective if they can move and shoot without any loss of firepower. So the others, as we play the game, if there's anything that needs mentioning, I will bring it to your attention. So we're going to roll to see who starts. We're going to roll a 6, both rolled 6s. Right, so it's the Scots Covenanters that are going to do the first move. Now, because I'm doing a house rule, in these rules, once you try and activate a unit, if you then should fail, that's your move over, that's your turn over. But in Lion Rampant, they have this rule where, since they've introduced the second version of Lion Rampant, where you do get at least one re-roll if it's that unit that failed is within 12 inches of the leader. And I'm going to do that today, because it does slow things down if you don't. And so that's just a house rule I'm introducing. Whether you use that or not is up to you. So, because of most of the units in the Scots Covenanters move at 5+, in fact I'm just checking along where now, they all move at 5+, except the regimental gun. That's going to be harder to activate. So you want to try and move the units that are easiest to move first. So the first thing I'm going to do is try and move the skirmishers over the far side. Incidentally, at one point when I worked out the points, the Covenanters only had 17 points and the Royalists only had 18. So for an extra point, I've given the skirmish unit, or the commanded shot, a separate individual leader. And what he does do, he can re-roll for himself for that one unit and he doesn't have to be within 12 inches of the commander, so he's like a sub-leader, if you like, and that's what it costs to do that, and an extra point. So let me roll first to see whether we can just move them, because they do move on 5+. Well, they rolled 6, so they'll do their move now. And if you look further down the sheet again, you can see that they normally move at 8 inches. And they don't slow up in that poor terrain, so they've reached the edge of the wood already. There we go. The next unit will be the Clansmen. They move on 5+. They rolled a 6, so they're moving as well. Again, they don't get slowed up because of the terrain, and they move at 8 inches as well. So they're just inside the wood still, and they're looking very keen. Now we're going to move the muskets. Yeah, they rolled a 7. They only move at 6 inches. So let's move them up. Or these are called shot, not musketeers. They're shot, but they got them up with a musket. The leader is with that unit. And now I'm going to do the cavalry next, the trotters. Again, 5's needed, yeah, no problem with that. And they've got a 8-inch move. So they're going to come up to here. And then finally the artillery, or the gun that I mentioned, needs 6 to move that. Yeah, it rolled an 8. So there's no problem with any of the Scots Covenanters moving, and the gun moves at 6 inches. Okay. The gun, in fact, guns function in the same way as all other units, except for their field of fire. Normally, a unit facing doesn't matter at all in these rules, but for the regimental gun, it is another story, as they're quite cumbersome to move and pivot. All guns have a 90-degree arc of fire from the front, measured from the gun barrel, and to change this fire arc, the unit must be moved, pivoting using a move action. So in fact, you could argue I should have that facing the other way anyway, because they move at 6 inches. Not forgetting that, don't forget my royalists here, my cavalry. The gallopers have got wild charge, and they've got a 10-inch move, so they've got to be careful they don't get too close to someone if they don't want to charge them. So let's start off with the pike. The pike move on 5. Yeah, they moved. They rolled 9. Now I mentioned about the going into close order. I'm going to put the pike into close order. It takes a whole move to do that. I haven't got an indicator that they are in close order, but I'll just have to remember. But close order means that they attack and move at 6+ rather than 7 and 5+. But they also, their attack value is higher. They're pretty good. They attack on 4+ and they defend on 3+. So it's quite a strong unit when they're in close order. So it makes sense to put them in close order straight away. Now I'm going to move the dragoons over the far side. Oh, they rolled 11, so that's not a problem. They've got a 12-inch move. They move pretty quickly. I'm going to send them around here. They're not going to go over the hedge, and they're going to go around there because they want to dive in here next move and get behind that hedge. They're not in any danger at the moment of being attacked, so they're safe enough to do that. And the Forlorn Hope are now going to move. Yep, they move as well. And they move on 6 inches. So they're moving up, backing up the dragoons. And finally, the gallopers. At the moment, they're behind that hill. In fact, I think I'm going to leave them there. They're not in any hurry to move forward yet. Right, so that's the royalist turn. So you get the idea of how things move around, and I'm not going to video the whole game, but I'll do another move so you get a better idea of what's happening. Incidentally, the range for the artillery piece the regimental gun, is only 18 inches. It's a very light gun, so that's 12. There we are. It would actually only be hitting along here at the moment. You can upgrade, you'll notice, to a field gun, and that's an extra 2 points. I haven't actually put that on the quick reference sheet. I need to change that. But you can upgrade to a field gun, and that gives, they're hitting on 3s rather than 4s, and that gives a 48-inch range. So that would be, they'll be able to hit anything on the table. So that would be maybe worth an upgrade, having an artillery piece that can fire that distance. But you'll notice that to shoot, it's 8+, so sometimes you're just not going to shoot. That represents the fact that it takes a little while to reload the gun, so it won't necessarily fire every move. If you roll well, you could fire every move, but if you roll badly, you could end up hardly firing it at all. So it's whether you think that's worth an extra 2-point upgrade. I think maybe it is, but we'll just have to see. Right, Scots Covenanters then. Who's going to move first? I think we'll move the skirmishers. Yep, they can move. I did say that I'm only going to reduce the distance they can move. I do a 6-inch move. They decided to do an 8-inch move, so they're only going to do 4 inches instead. I'm not sure they want to go over that hedge anyway. They're going to stay skirmishing behind that hedge. I think that that's a sensible thing to do. Now the clansmen, yeah, they're still moving. You can see it's quite easy to move. You have to roll really badly to fail to move. There we are, the clansmen are coming around. You don't have to stay in formation. This is a skirmish game, and especially as I'm on multiple figures per base, I'm just sort of spreading them out a little bit. So you'll notice now that they are still just out of charge range for the dragoons, but they're soon going to be close enough to charge in. Now the shot are going to move. They rolled a 6. They can still move as well. So they're moving up. The shot, incidentally, I've got an 18-inch range as well. Because as I said, this is, at the moment, this is a very light gun. It's a regimental gun. It was mainly loaded with shot. They didn't used to put ball, I don't think, in the regimental guns. They were used for close quarter shooting. If you want to upgrade it and have the potential of firing a ball a long distance, you've got to spend those extra 2 points. So the trotters will move next. 6, yeah, nothing's failed yet, is it? I say that doesn't slow down, this terrain doesn't slow down anything other than the artillery that's not really supposed to go in there. It's a little bit muddy maybe. Right, we're going to move the artillery one more time. Yes, they can move. They move on 6 and they rolled a 6, so they are able to move up. And 6 inches means they will almost certainly, yeah, be in range by the time the royalists move again. They probably won't want to move much further than that. Right, lastly, let's do the royalists again. The dragoons don't want to be caught by these. They're going to try and zip across here and get behind that hedge. Yes, they can do that. They've got plenty of room to do that as well. So they're deployed now behind the hedge, which will give them some cover. The Forlorn Hope, a little bit concerned about these guys coming up. They're not armed with anything ranged, but they also have got an 8-inch range anyway. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to hop over this fence here, if they can do that. Yes, they can. So they'll hop over there, and that will give them some sort of cover. The pike are going to move forward. If you remember, I said they move now on 6+. Yeah, they're still rolling very well, so they're going to move up. They're not too worried about these clansmen coming up because they're pretty good in defence. And finally, the gallopers. They've got a 10-inch move. They're not within charge move yet. There's any amount of measuring in these rules. You don't have to worry about guessing. You can measure to see where the enemy are. For example, these guys move at 8 inches. Now that takes them to there, which means if these cavalry want to do a full move, they could do, and then they're within charge, or they could stop just short of them. But because they've got a range of 6 inches, they've got to make sure they stay out of 6 inches. Yeah, so if they move just past that point, they can't be shot at. So they're going to try and do that. They're going to move up. They rolled a 6. They're going to move up, but just staying out of range of the caracol, of the trotters. Now, it does mean next move they have to try and charge those, unless these guys in the meantime fall back, which they might want to do. So there we are. I haven't had one failure yet, have I? That's pretty good going. So it's all going to start happening soon. There's a bit of manoeuvring going on, and hopefully we'll get some interesting results. Right, so it's the Scots Covenanters to move. The first question is, do they want to leave these here? They're out of range at the moment. They stand there, they're going to get charged. So we're going to pull those back. Oh, now they rolled a 4, which is a failure. However, the leader is within 12 inches, so that unit does get a re-roll. It rolled 8 this time. It can move back, which it's going to do. But there's no more re-rolls. If we get another failure on this side, that will be it. Except for this over here, the skirmishers have got their own leader. They do get a re-roll. Now the artillery, no, I forgot about that with the cavalry. The artillery are now in range. So they're going to try and shoot at the gallopers. And if you look on the sheet, regimental gun, it's 8+ to shoot them. So they need this. Now they rolled a 5, so they have failed to shoot. So really, it would have been handy to have not failed with this first unit, because we could have tried a re-roll there, but we can't try a re-roll because it's already been used. So the turn for this side is over. So it's up to the Royalists. The first thing the Royalists want to do is return fire. So the Dragoons are going to open fire on the skirmishers. Right, so it's the Covenanters again, and we're going to start with this. We're not going to try and fire the artillery because it's 8+ to do that, so it might well fail again. It's more important to get the other troops up. So we're going to try and move the clansmen first. 8, yeah, so they can do an 8-inch move. They're not within charge range of anybody yet. They're going to go here. So they've moved up. Now they are now within charge move of 3 units. They weren't when they were back here. They were just out of charge range of that unit. If they were within 8 inches, they would have to have tested to see whether they could reach them. In fact, they wouldn't reach them because hedges would have slowed them down. So, but they are now within charge move, and half a move. Ooh, they can't reach those because of the hedge. So, but they are within charge move of the pike. So next turn they're going to have to do a well charge. Let's move up the shot next. Yes, they move up. Now these trotters could do a half a move, which is 4 inches if they went there. And then they have a range of 6 inches. So they're not going to be able to do that. They're not going to be able to do half a move and shoot, because their range is in fact quite short, it's only 6 inches. So they've moved up slightly. Now the gun's going to try and fire. 8+ is what's needed. They rolled a 6, they get a re-roll because of the leader here. And they failed again. So the gun hasn't yet fired. You can see why, although it's nice having a gun, an artillery piece, they're going to be difficult to actually activate to shoot. So that's the Scots Covenanters move done. Now let's see what the Royalists are going to do. Well, first of all, they're going to open fire over here onto the Clansmen. They rolled a 6. Well, luckily, they shoot at 6, so they're okay. So they're going to roll 12 dice. Now, these Forlorn Hope, they're a pretty good unit. So they shoot, hitting on 5s. They're not veterans, they're just normal troops. And they've got an 18-inch range, hitting on 5s. And the Clansmen have got no cover, of course, so they need a good dice roll here. Let me take out the ones that failed to score a hit. There we are. They scored 5 hits, and if you look at the Clansmen, they've got a stamina of only 2. So they've taken 2 casualties. So I'll put 2 little markers on there. And they have to do a test. They rolled 4, which is not good. Oh, you do get, if the officer is within 12 inches, you get another one back. But they rolled a 4. They were down to 2 because of losses. They've gone back up to 3 again. But because their morale is 4+, they have failed. So if you fail a morale test, but your final score is greater than 0, the unit must retreat. The unit becomes what they call wavering, and in Line Rampant they call it battered. So that unit becomes battered, and it has to go back half a move. So if you failed a morale test and your final score is 0 or less, the unit loses heart completely and leaves the table immediately. A wavering unit that receives another wavering result loses a model of its own choice, in additional retreating. So they've got to fall back. They normally do an 8-inch move. They've got to fall back 4 inches. It's now battered. It's lost 2 men. And they didn't need that, really. That's a shame. They were going to get stuck in next move, but they won't do now, will they? They've got to try and recover their morale. The Dragoons are going to fire next. Yes, they do. They fire. Luckily, the Dragoons, they shoot on 6. And they hit on 5s like the Forlorn Hope. They've only got a 12-inch range though, but they are within range there. So let's take out the ones that failed. Oh, there's only 1 hit there. Oh no, there's 2. But it's not enough. It would be the commanded shot have only got, oh, they've got a stamina of 1. But the hedge gives them an extra stamina, it becomes 2. But I'm going to read you something about this unit because they are not easy to hit. Right, commanded shot. First of all, they're hard to hit. The unit counts as stamina 2 versus shooting. So in melee, they've got an armor of, they've got a stamina of 1, but in shooting, they've got a stamina of 2. And because of the cover, they get an extra stamina, making it 3. They don't lose a figure there. They must always be targeted within 12 inches. So if they were more than 12 inches away, they couldn't be shot at anyway, although they wouldn't be able to shoot themselves because they've only got a range of 12 inches. So they got away with that. Now it's the pike are going to try and move up. Yep, they're okay to move on that. They're going to do a 6-inch move. They're quite happy on the way things are going at the moment. And the gallopers are now going to see if they can move. They can indeed. They're not within charge range. If you remember, I put them just out of. I want to get as near as possible to them as they can, but they should never move within 3 inches of an enemy if they can't make contact. So they're going to move up as far as they can. That means that next move they are going to be within charge move of 3 units, so they can charge one of those units. They want to be able to get stuck in here. Okay, so next move for the Scots Covenanters. The first thing you have to do is the battered unit, or the unit that's wavering, must do a test to see whether they can stop wavering. So here we go. They rolled a 6. They've lost 2 casualties so far, so that goes down to 4. The leader's nearby, so it goes up to 5. So if you look on the sheet, the clansmen have got a morale of 4. So they have recovered their morale, they've removed the battered marker, but they can't do anything else that move. They spend the whole move recovering. Now it's the musketeers to shoot at the pike if they can. Yes, they rolled a 9. So if you look on here, they're shot, they're hitting on 5+. However, infantry with muskets have what's known as a salvo. So for the first time they either shoot or charge, they get a +1 on their dice. So instead of hitting on 5+, they're hitting on 4+. So they've got to make this count, really. Right, so we're looking for 4+. I'll take out the dice that failed to score a hit. There are 6 hits there. The pike, I've got a stamina of 3, so that is 2 casualties. Painful. There we go. As I say, in close order, the pike block do fight much better value. They attack and defend at a better value, but it doesn't save them when it comes to being shot. So they've taken 2 casualties. They've now got to do a morale test. It's 8, minus the 2, down to 6, but they get 1 back for the leader. So it becomes 7. Now that means that because pike I've got a morale of 4+, they're fine about that. They don't worry about that at all. Right, so what's going to happen next? I think we're going to try and do, the trotters are going to try and to shoot and then move back. The trouble is it won't take them out of charge range, so there's not a lot of point in doing that, is there really? But what they'll do is they'll shoot anyway, and doing a caracol movement is 7+, because if they do shoot, then they can elect to charge in if they wish. So let's do that. It rolled a 6. The leader is within 12 inches, so they're going to have another go. Yep, 11. So they're okay. So they're going to shoot. If you look at the sheet, it's a 4-inch range. We know they're within 3 inches. They're going to shoot, hitting on 5s, and hope to do some damage to these gallopers. Right, let's see how many hits we've got in there. Oh, it looks reasonable. Well, it's got 6 hits. The gallopers have got a stamina of 3, so they take 2 casualties. So I can take those 2 off. Don't have to do any red tokens for those. So they have to do a test now to see what happens to them. They rolled an 8. They drop 2 because of the losses. They're down to 6, and their morale, pretty high morale. They've got a morale of 3, so they would have to roll really badly to have been in trouble there. Let's say they had rolled 2 1s though, for example. If you did roll 2 1s, they lose 2 because of the losses they've taken. They're down to 0. They do get 1 back for the leader. That saves them. So within 12 inches, they would have been on 1, and that unit would have had to have fallen back, wavering. However, if the leader wasn't within 12 inches, that unit could have gone. They could have disappeared forever. So they really do need to roll high when they're doing a test for the morale. So now the casualties they've caused, now the trotters may elect to charge. And let me just read what that says in here. As an ordered activation, a caracol successful on 7+, the unit may make a half move and then a shoot order. Well, they didn't want to do the half move because they were within range anyway. If the enemy fails the morale test due to the shooting, the unit may now perform a free attack activation if within range. Now, I'm assuming that means it is normal range, which is 8 inches. So if it's within range, moving into contact with the enemy, it doesn't say anything about doing half a move again, although they did a half move before they shot if they wanted to. But so if that unit had failed and it had gone back 5 inches, it's now just within 8 inches, so it will just reach there. So yeah, it can charge in if it wanted to, if it had failed, but it hadn't failed, so they're staying put. Now the artillery are going to have a shot at this cavalry as well. They really, they rolled 2 ones. But they do get a re-roll, so we'll try again. 8. Yes, this time they can actually shoot for the first time in the game. They're going to open fire over here. They're just about within arc, and these are not blocking their sight, in my opinion. So we're now going to roll. They hit on 4+. This could be very painful for the gallopers. Let's give it a go. Take out the ones that failed to hit. That's 6 hits again. So that's another 2 figures. So they've now got to do another test. They rolled a 7. They lose 4 because of, well, it leaves them on 3, because of casualties. They get 1 back for the leader. So they're on 4. And because they've got a morale of 3, they're still okay, believe it or not. These cavaliers, these gallopers are pretty keen. However, they're down to 2 figures. And in a minute, when they do charge in, they're only going to roll 6 dice instead of 12 because they're half strength or under. So that unit has been pretty decimated, and they're not going to be doing as well as they had done if they stayed at full strength. And now we're going to fire the skirmishers over here. They rolled a 7. They do shoot at the dragoons behind the cover. Let's see what they get. They want 5s and 6s. They've got 5 hits. They've got stamina of 3, but with an extra bonus for the cover, it's 4, but they still lose another figure. So they have another casualty marker. They must do a test. They rolled a 10, -2, well, they're fine, aren't they? Even without the leader. In fact, the leader's within anyway, so they would get 1 back. So they're fine. They're taking casualties, but they're down to 4 men now. Okay, so the Royalists' turn. No one has to do a test. There's no broken units, or there's no wavering units. First thing we're going to do, the pike are within 6 inches. They can just reach those, so they're going to attempt to charge, which is 6+. Yep, 8, no problem there. So they're going to charge in here into the muskets. So we've got a melee going on. The shot can't do anything about that. They just have to take the attack. If they were skirmishers, they could try and evade, but they're not, so they're just going to have to take it. So they've gone in there. Let's do the attack first. So it's 12 dice. The pike, remember, they they fight quite well when they're attacking, because they're in close order. They hit on 4s, so 4s, 5s and 6s are hits. Oh, they didn't roll too well though. There's a lot of 1s, 2s and 3s in there. Look at that. Oh dear, what a shame. They've lost an opportunity there. They caused 3 casualties. The shot have got a stamina of 3, so they do lose a figure, but they've really got away with that. There is a chance though that they've killed the leader. On a roll of 2 1s, it's the leader that dies instead of the figure. No, I didn't get that. So that doesn't happen very often at all. In fact, I've not seen it happen in a game where the leader has died through rolling 2 1s, but you never know. It could happen. They have to do a test because they've taken a casualty. They rolled a 5, down to 4 because of the casualty, back up to 5 because the leader's there, and the shot have got a morale of 4, so they're fine. Now they fight back. Even if they'd failed that, the fighting is cumulative, so they would still fight back before they retreated anyway, but they were fine. Now their shot, their defense value is 5+, so they defend better than they attack. If they should attack, they only hit on 6s. They're not really attacking unit, they're a bit of a defending unit. So 5s is what they're looking for, and if you can see on there, they've only got 1. And in fact, the pike, they've got a stamina of 3, haven't lost anything. So they don't have to do a test. And because the shot lost the melee, they're the ones that have to go back half a move. So they're going to go back there like that. They're not wavering, they've just had to fall back because they've lost that fight, only by 1 figure, but it's enough. Because the pike didn't lose a figure, you don't have to roll to see whether the leader was the casualty. Right, so that's the first move done. Let's do a charge of... Now, the first thing I should have done, now there's a slight error on my part here. This unit, because they're near enough to 3 enemies, they have to roll to see whether they do a wild charge or not. I should have done that before I did the other attack, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, they've got a wild charge of 5, and they easily rolled more than that. So they're going to go in against the trotters. But because they've only got 2 men left out of that unit, they can only roll 6 dice. They are an aggressive unit, and they're hitting on 3+. So they want lots of... Well, they've got 3 hits. They rolled 2 1s and a 2. So it could have been better, because the trotters have only got a stamina of 3, but they have managed to take off a casualty, but it is only the 1. They needed really to score all of those to kill more. Now the trotters fight back. Their defensive value is 4+. Again, they're better defending than they are attacking. So 4+. Oh, that looks quite reasonable, or does it? Oh no, they've only got 5. But it is another casualty. Now that, funnily enough, in these rules, even with 1 man, they still fight. They fight on as long as they stay there on the table. But they've got to do a test. Let's do these ones first. Their test is 10, so they're fine. And the gallopers, right, okay, so they rolled 2 1s, which is not good, really, is it? -5. They get 1 back for the leader being nearby, but it's not enough. That unit disappears. The last survivor is gone. So the Scots Covenanters have won the first victory. They've taken off an enemy unit. Right, so we're now going to move over to the Forlorn Hope. Are going to open fire on these clansmen. They're still within 18 inches, so they can do that. They rolled a 5. To open fire, the Forlorn Hope need a 6, so they failed. Luckily, he is within 12 inches, so they'll roll that again. They rolled a 7. This time they did manage to fire. and they're hitting on 5s and 6s. Right, let's just have a look and see what we got here. Well, it's not bad, is it? It's 6 hits. That's really good. And don't forget, the Clansmen have only got a stamina of 2, so that's 3 losses. So I'll take, they've already taken 2 anyway. It's got a total of 5 losses so far. I'm going to take 4 of those away and leave another marker there. So they've now lost 5 men, and so they're going to have to do a morale test. They rolled 8, which was pretty good going. They get 1 back for the leader, 9, but they've lost 5 men. So they've gone down to 4, and Clansmen have a morale of 4, so they're just about okay. They are, by the skin of their teeth, they're still in the battle. They rolled quite good. They rolled an 8. Anything less than that, they would have fallen back again. In fact, if they'd rolled badly, they could have gone completely, but they didn't. And now the Dragoons are going to shoot at the commander shot over here. They rolled a 6, which is okay to shoot. And they're hitting on 5s and 6s. There's only, well, there's 3 in there. Don't forget, these have got armour. They've got a stamina of 2, but an extra 1 because they're behind cover of 3, but they do take a casualty. I'll take a casualty off. I've got a spare figure there. And they then have to do a test. Oh dear, no, they rolled 2. Now, if you remember, they've got a separate leader with that unit. They also get a bonus for this leader here. So that unit, it gets a +2. So it's on 4. It's lost a figure, it's down to 3. I'm just going to mention about this leader here, this separate leader. He only cost a point. But I just want to read out about him because available to a non-officer unit, cost 1 point, maximum 1 special character per unit. Special characters may not transfer between units. Replace an ordinary model with the unit with a special character. The special character moves, fights and acts in all ways like any other model in that unit. Units with a special character get a +1 to all morale tests in the same way as, and in addition to, being within 12 inches of their officer. Test for death of the characters in the same way as officer, lucky blows, a player killing an opponent. Right, so that means, first of all, we've got to see whether there's a lucky blow. No, he didn't fail to kill him. But they rolled 2. They get 1 for the morale and another for the officer being within 12 inches. So that's 4. They've lost a figure down to 3. Their morale is 4. So they have failed. And they are, therefore, wavering. And they fall back half a move. That was a bit unfortunate. A very unfortunate dice roll. But luckily, they got away with it. So they're going to come back into the wood. And they are... they're going to have to do a morale test next move. Very unlucky, that was. Okay, so it's the Scots Covenanters' turn. The first thing we've got to do is we've got to try and test for that unit to make sure it doesn't run any further. It rolled a 6. He's no longer within 12 inches, but they do get 1 back for their leader that's with them. That's 7, and they lost 1 figure, 6. Yeah, so they managed to recover from that withdrawal. They can't do anything else though. So what's going to happen here? We got the pike causing a bit of a problem here. Do the clansmen go in? I think well, they're going to have to, because they've got a wild charge. They've got no option. They have to try and charge. So let's roll that. They rolled a 7. They do. So these would charge in here. They've got 7 men left in that unit. Have started with 12, so they still get 12 dice. And Clansmen, the attack value is 3+. It's very strong. They're not as good in defence. If they are attacked and they fail to countercharge, they only fight back on killing on 6s or hitting on 6s. But they're hitting on 3s. So this is really, could be quite painful for the pikemen. Well, look, they've got nine hits there. That's pretty good going. And as you know, the pikemen have got a stamina of 3, so they have taken 3 casualties. Now they already had 2, so remove 4 and leave 1 extra marker there. So that was quite painful, losing 3 men. But they do fight back. Let's do their test first. They've lost a total of 5 men so far. Oh dear, this is pretty bad, isn't it? So they've rolled a 4. They get 1 for the leader, it becomes 5. But they have lost 5, they're on 0. So that unit disappears. Unfortunately, 0 or under it goes. It had a bad morale test. Before it fled though, it did manage to fight back. Oh, that is a disaster. That's the game over really, isn't it, for the Royalists? Right, let's just see what they do though. The pikemen, their defence value is 3+. They get really good defence value. So they're hoping to do as much damage to the clansmen as they've had on themselves. Well, they've done pretty well. They've got 6 hits. The clansmen have only got a stamina of 2, so they lose 3 more. That's another base gone. Let's take the one without the flag. So they're now on -8 for their morale test, which is not good, is it? Well, they rolled 10. They get 1 back for the leader, 11, and but it's lost 8 men, so it's still on 3, but the morale is 4, so they are actually having to fall back. They have to go back half a move, which is there, and they get a battered marker. I haven't got any that say wavering. I'll have to get some from war bases, but anyway, they got a battered marker, so they are in trouble. They might well go next time. They just only survived there because they rolled a good dice. They rolled a 10. So I think that's it. To be honest, I'm not going to carry on anymore. You've got the idea. There's the only 2 units left for the Royalists now are the Forlorn Hope and the Dragoons. But they're not going to win with what they've got left. Although these clansmen are in trouble, but these are both in a strong condition, and even the skirmishers, and they've got the artillery piece as well. So I'm going to call it a day. The game is over. I hope you enjoyed that and you could see how the rules work. Those of you that have already played Lion Rampant know roughly how it goes anyway. There are different troop types that we needed to experiment on a little bit. And for those of you that haven't played the rules before, hopefully it's given you an insight of how the game progresses. We often play Lion Rampant, or we'll be trying Pikeman's Lament as well, because it gives a good evening game. We only had 18 points on the table today. Normally you'll play at least 24, and sometimes, as I say, we play 30 or even 36. And for an evening down our club, that's an ideal game. It works really well. I do like, as I've told you many times before, I do like the Rampant series of rules. They give a good game for an evening. They're not to be used for a big game. If you've got an all-day game, you wouldn't use Rampant rules. But for an evening, or if you just want a quick game at home lasting a couple of hours, then they give a nice little game. I've always liked them. I've not played Pikeman's Lament before. I've only had a couple of test runs myself, and this is the 3rd one. The others were just even smaller than this. I was just testing out the rules to see what they were like. And I like them very much. Well, I like the rules anyway, the Rampant rules, and this is just really moving on in history to a later period, and it seems to work really well. I mean, I'll take it down the club, I'll have a game with one of the guys down there, we'll have a bigger game and see how that works out. So I'm very happy the way they play. It's good fun, and that's really what wargaming's all about. And I finally got my 50-year-old figures out again. Well, most of them are 50 years old. Some of them, there's a few, like this cavalry unit I bought about 3 or 4 years ago when I was having a game and I was lacking cavalry on the Scots Covenanter side, so I bought some extra cavalry. But all the other figures you see, all of these figures are all the old minifigs that were bought more than 50 years ago. I mean, I started wargaming when I was 18. I'm now 72, so you work that one out. They've been around a long time. Some of them have been repainted. They've been rebased for different rules over the years. If I'm going to use them for Pikeman's Lament again, I could possibly debase them, but they're fine. If you just put markers down for losses, it works a treat. So yeah, nice game. I hope you enjoyed that. And if I waffled on a bit, I apologise. I wasn't going to show you all the moving, but in the end it doesn't take long, and it gives you a good idea of how the game can flow. I did add that rule where you get a reroll. In the book it doesn't say you do that, but in the Rampant rules generally they are doing that now in most of the other rules, and it seems to work in this. It keeps the game moving, but you don't have to do that. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Hope you did as well, and I hope you have a go and let me know what you think of it. Right, that's it for me, guys. Keep well, enjoy your wargaming, and I'll see you again soon.